Hi, everybody. Whoever's here, we're sort of waiting for a few more people to enter. Hi.
Hi, Ava.
Hey.
Mute. Okay.
You made it out to California, Steve.
That I did. I'll see if I can show you my view right now.
Nice. Pretty.
That means I want you to mute. If I go with this, thumbs down, mute me.
Can you hear us at Wycliffe? Test, hello? Can anyone
Hello?
hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
We can.
We can't see the screen view. We just see the screensaver. So we can't really see everyone. Is that the plan?
Well, no. That screensaver is just, there we are.
Can anyone see me? Just
Hi, Donna.
checking.
Hi, Donna.
Hey.
Hi, Donald.
Hello, everyone.
Donald, you're muted.
I'm muted.
No, Donald is muted. I could see him moving his mouth.
Hey there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Early out there.
The sun's barely up.
Hi,
Good
Rebecca.
morning. This is Kim.
Hi, Kim.
I don't have video in my home office yet, but good morning.
Hi, Kim.
I look great, by the way.
I'm sure you do. Hi, Susan Tudor. You're muted. Unmute yourself, Susan.
Good morning. Sorry.
Hi.
Hi. I'm in the car, so I'm going to turn my video off. And when I'm in my home office, I'll join back in. Thank you all. Bye.
I apologize. I'm at home, and we keep on getting these calls for voting, and I don't know how to turn it off of my phone. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, and I'm sorry if you can, because I did vote. And if I could make him go away, I would, but tell me when we're getting ready to, tell me when you want us to start. Hi, Frank. Tell me when you want us to start.
I lost it.
I will. So Ava, we have about 28 participants now, and I counted about 30 on the RSVP list. So I think we're in good standing.
Well,
Okay.
also, we all RSVP'd, but we're all in one room.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
We have a conference room, so.
Okay. So how about if we just get started then, okay? Because we actually have a pretty full agenda. Is Ari on here yet? Is Ari one of our, hi Wendy, is Ari one of our presenters on here?
I do not see her on here.
Okay. Hi Joy. Hi Diane. Okay. Well, shall I just get started? I will.
Yeah.
All right. I have to apologize because I'm going to be reading some of this because I get really nervous and then I start rambling on, and anybody that knows me knows that I can ramble on. So if my head is down, it's because I'm kind of reading, trying to stay on focus. Good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome all of you to the 2020 Florida chapter meeting, brought to you today from beautiful, cloudy, sunny, warm, deserty, dry, cold. This is when you unmute and shout out where you are. Like Winter Park, Florida.
Jacksonville.
Denver, Colorado.
Connecticut.
Thank you. We often talk about who's traveled the furthest to be here, and I'm not sure how that's going to work for us today, but we have people literally from all over the country. Besides our fantastic Florida chapter, we've got people from San Diego, from Baltimore, from Denver, from Connecticut, from Palm Springs. We're here from everywhere, so thank you. We appreciate it and are so happy that you could join us. I'm going to go through a little housekeeping and Zoom meeting protocol. Everyone has entered this meeting muted, and for the best sound quality, the least background noise and interruptions, we ask that you keep yourself muted. So everybody kind of mute themselves, please.
Okay.
When you would like to speak, unmute yourself by tapping the mute icon located on the taskbar underneath the images. When finished, kindly return to mute. We ask that you refrain from interrupting our presenters. In the upper corner, you should see a little square with blocks, and if you tap that square, you will be allowed to view the participants in a gallery view or in a speaker view, so you can choose whichever you prefer. All questions can be addressed by using the chat line. Following the presentations, questions will be asked and answered, and the chat line can also be used for messaging individuals as well as the group. But a word of caution. This meeting is being recorded and all chats will be saved, so do not say something in a chat that you don't want preserved for an eternity, or at least until Zoom becomes obsolete. Many of us have a taskbar with a reactions icon. Feel free to use that during our meetings when appropriate. The applause reaction is always a good one, and if you would like to try that right now, you can feel free. All right, I don't see any. What? Okay, never mind. Okay. And now to begin. This morning, it's my pleasure to introduce the Florida chapter officers, and I would like to add extraordinaire. Florida Chapter Vice President Scott Simpson from the Henry B. Plant Museum in Tampa is our host and ZJ of our conference this year.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're excited to have you here.
Secretary Wendy Davis from the UWF Historic Trust in Pensacola.
Good morning, everyone.
Treasurer Dan Ayers Price from the Key West Art and Historical Society in Key West.
Good morning, all.
Vendor advisor Jackie Goldman from Puzzles Plus Inc. in Jacksonville.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
And I'm Ava Maxwell, chapter president from the Morse Museum of American Art in Winter Park. The board has worked hard on planning a meeting with presentations that are especially beneficial during this unusual and difficult time. Some of us have opened, some remain closed. Some have dealt with hurricanes, illness, fear of illness, and other obstacles. But the one thing we all have in common is the need to move forward and embrace change. And aren't we lucky to be moving in this direction together? I would be remiss if I would allow us to move forward without looking back for a moment. In April, we hope to attend a conference in Cleveland that was certain to be nothing less than fantastic. The planning was elaborate, and having to cancel that conference was devastating. And at this time, I would like to thank those that worked so hard on that conference, and at the same time would like all of us to acknowledge the sponsors of the Cleveland's MSA Forward, because they all deserve a round of applause. Scott, will you share that screen? Scott, can you share the screen for the sponsors? So these were our sponsors from the from the national conference in Cleveland, and they all deserve a round of applause, if not a silent one. So thank you to all of them. And I want to point out that Primetime Packaging, who is in this little area right here, Primetime Packaging planned the tote bags. Scott, can you put that little thing up on the screen? So these are the tote bags that Primetime had planned for our conference. They sent Well, their tote bag is somewhere. And they sent me a box of these tote bags to share with all of you. So if you will email me your contact information, I will send you, Scott, do you have the picture of the tote bag? If you email me, I'll send you a tote bag.
Do you not see it?
Excuse me?
You don't see the tote bag?
I don't. Does anybody else?
No.
Okay, well, I'll show you the tote bag at some point, but it's very cool. And if you want one, email me your contact information and I will send it to you. Please, there it is. Okay, that's the bag. So just let me know if you want one. Please note, in the group of national sponsors, New Board Media, one of our Florida chapter vendor members, was one of our sponsors and is on that list. A commitment to MSA as a vendor differs from that of a museum member, and we, the association and museum stores, could not exist without our vendors. Although Frank Allegra, co-founder of New Board, was unable to exhibit at the expo due to a sold-out expo, his company became a sponsor. We're grateful and proud that you're a Florida chapter member, Frank. Please unmute yourself to say a few words.
Okay, good morning. Can everybody hear me? I can see you, Ava, and then at the top I see the smaller screens, but hello, good morning.
Okay, I can hear you, Frank. Everybody can hear you.
Oh, good, okay. So, yeah, if I had just a few minutes, Ava, is that,
Yes.
I could do
Yes.
an introduction?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, for those who've never met me or New Board Media, we've been part of MSA for the last 3 years. Our debut was in DC at the trade show up there. So for the last 3 years, we've developed a lot of good clients and partnerships, and we're happy to be part of the association. And we supply different packaging material, mainly retail shopper bags, but now in light of COVID, we've expanded to e-commerce mailers for shipping out merchandise for as e-commerce for retail shops expand. So we offer that as well. And we've been in business for 20 years. We're based in South Florida, Miami, Naples. And I wanted to say thank you to Dan, especially Dan Ayers down in Key West, because he was our first historic customer at MSA. And since then, we've been able to supply different shopper bags. I put a little display here in the back. If I did it within 5 minutes because I was late. But if you can see back here, I could put this for anybody who's new or doesn't know about New Board Media. There's the higher end shopper bags I was up in New York City last week, and even though MoMA is not a client, but we also have the resale reusable tote bags as well. And then there's Atatiki and Key West and some of the other, if you can see that, I don't know if you can, of different variety of bag types for retail stores. So that's about it. Our manufacturing is in Oklahoma and Wisconsin and New York. And in some cases, we import the bags for different clients. So happy to be here. And it's not the Cayman Islands, but at least we're all alive, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And we're happy you're here. And you're right, it's not the Cayman Islands, but quite honestly, just the fact that we're all here, it means everything to us. So thank you. We are a lucky chapter. Maybe it's our location being in the sunny South, but I think it's the fine people that we've met through the MSA that make us lucky. Those business associates who have now become friends and want us to succeed. In a normal year, we would have used this time to thank our meeting sponsors, but as you know, we didn't ask for sponsorship this year. But since our last regional meeting, we have received donations for our scholarship fund from 2 vendors. And at this time, I would like to acknowledge them. These vendors are not Florida chapter members, but they have maintained support for our chapter over the years. Donald Burns from Burns Rep Group, and David Gravine and Steve Santangelo from Popcorn Custom Products. As you might recall, during last year's conference in Grand Cayman, during our meeting, Donald's phone rang. When he left the room, I mentioned that at our synagogue, when a phone rings during the rabbi's sermon, it's an automatic donation to the temple. We all chuckled, and Donald returned red-faced, and we continued the meeting. Shortly upon our return from the conference, we received a lovely donation from Burns Rep Group, not because his phone rang, but because he is a true supporter of MSA and of our chapter's efforts and accomplishments. Donald's been an MSA member for 20 years and has been a rep. He's been involved with MSA for 20 years and as a rep member for 5 years. So we've asked Donald to speak for a few moments. And by the way, if anybody's phone rings during this, well, I think you know what will happen. Donald, will you unmute yourself? And if everybody wants to put their view into speaker view, then Donald will take full screen and you won't have the Brady Bunch look up here. Donald, are you there?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Yesterday I was thinking about being at the Cayman Islands and how wonderful it was and what this whole new normal is. So I'm thankful that we're able to do this and get together. I've been a member, as Ava said, for over 20 years, and I work with a number of different companies, Discovery's Egyptian Imports, Museum Reproductions, The Product of Design, and have taken on My Wallet recently. So I'm pretty excited about all these new ideas that are going on. And I really just kind of want to talk really quickly about what we're doing for Museum Store Sunday. We have decided at Museum Reproductions to offer any sale that you send in, any order that you send in to us for the next month, we're going to donate 5% back to MSA National. So that's anything in the line, anything that is new. We have a whole new line of contemporary jewelry that's doing really well. And there's a constant contact that'll be going out early next week that'll kind of detail everything that's involved in the program. So we're pretty excited, and we kind of really just want to give back to National. So it's a program that I'm really happy about. So be on the lookout for it. It should go out maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Donald, and yay to you and Museum Reproductions. That's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, this year during MSA's Gavel to Gala event, Popcorn Custom Products was like the Schitt's Creek of the Emmys. Popcorn, and again popcorn, and again popcorn. And the applause icons kept on coming. And again, on our list of national sponsors, you saw Popcorn's name and it was prominent. You only receive that kind of recognition when you've earned it and deserved it. Recently, the Florida chapter received a check from Popcorn, unsolicited. David Gravine, the ringmaster, and Steve Santangelo, Wonder Boy, work together and as a team support MSA, individual chapters, artists, and causes like no other. They remind me of the famous line in the movie, if you build it, they will come. And in our case, if you dream it, Popcorn will provide. So if the ringmaster and the Wonder Boy will please unmute themselves and tell us what you're doing now.
I got to take off this mask. Thanks, Ava. Thanks, all of you. Steve, I'm glad to know where you are. We live in a kind of time and place where the only time I get to know where Steve is when we have the sneak attack Zoom meetings. So I'm here in East Hartford, Connecticut. We're in our warehouse that we converted into a production studio. So we have set up a full-on trade show booth that we can host live events. a couple of weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago, we hosted a webinar with artist Willie Cole. But I kind of think about these chapter meetings as particularly special. And if you all remember, this damn event was something kind of close to as perfect as they come. The chapter meetings that Florida kind of hosts have been special for both Steve and I. Only because Steve was at a wedding or some faraway place did he let me go to the Cayman Islands. So I'm grateful that Steve has a very busy social schedule and that I got to be there last year. And thank you, Dan, for rolling up your shorts and getting in the water. We have, suffered like all of you during this pandemic and have kind of tried to imagine what to do. So our mask was kind of a way of showing that we're in the mask business. Some of you kind of know. But we have also kind of done something, I would say, kind of that we've been doing for a long time, drop shipping. So we're busy rolling out drop ship programs to museum companies, museum stores. And one of the things that we kind of want to do following Donald's kind of talk about Museum Store Sunday is try to kind of get you excited and animated about what and how we can help make it a great event. So Steve, at the end of this thing, is going to share with you a login screen. We're all going to send you a mystery box. Everybody who logs in to museumnerd.com and signs up for a wholesale account, you don't have to buy anything, is going to get a big mystery box. And that's intended to kind of be giveaways and incentives for your customers both online and in store. So one of the things that we hope you will do is consider, obviously we make a whole line of Museum Nerd products, including face masks. We're going to see, and you're going to be able to see all those products online and order them directly from the website. But you're going to ask, like, what is going to be in the mystery box? Every box is going to be a little bit different. Things from our warehouse are surprisingly going to find their way. There's going to be assets from Museum Nerd for sure. But like today, because Steve is gone, I went to his desk and I found this bourbon, vodka, and wine. And so some lucky kind of person is going to get Steve's little secret stash. So what else did I find at Steve's desk? Mouthwash. I don't know what Steve has got going on in his office, but it's kooky. So other things, what are we going to do? You might get tote bags, votes for women. All of you will get Museum Store Sunday face masks for your staff and for yourself. But you must register. Some of you will get food, some apple green popcorn. Yep, we make popcorn now, right? So there is going to be many different options. There are things like umbrellas, ornaments, these kind of things. All these kind of goodies will be free to you to give away to your customers or to sell, right? But our hope is really for you to kind of understand what Museum Nerd can be and what we're hoping to accomplish, to kind of make you think about all the different images in your collection that we can apply to products that we can sell direct to consumer from your website. You don't have to inventory one piece, right? So we've done this for years for entertainment companies from NBC to Universal to HBO. We're good at it, right? So let's activate your collection, put it online. Put the contents we have ready-made. Museumnerd.com is all open stock collections that can be purchased wholesale. So if you don't log in, you're going to see retail prices. But all these kind of items, including what we're kind of proud of, is Willie Cole's kind of Black Art Matters. Now, some of you are kind of probably weary of the social justice thing, but artist Willie Cole is in 40 giant museums nationwide. We've made a very sophisticated line of Black Art Matters apparel. Willie has agreed to participate in 4 webinars on Museum Store Sunday. Each corner of the country is going to be covered. And it's something that even if you don't carry in your store, activate online. Steve in the chat is going to give you access to all the assets so you can download those images, put them on your site, and you can be ready to go, and we can be shipping direct to consumer immediately. So it's simple. If your customer orders one product from us, we charge a flat rate shipping charge of $8.95. If they order 144 mugs, we charge you $8.95 for shipping. It's one flat fee for any type of good. So be on the lookout. There's plenty of stuff in our Halloween pumpkin. The kids in my neighborhood, they hate me because when they get to my door, they get a button. This one is a Votes for Women button. So, you know, I'm the least favorite guy in, you know, my neighborhood. But I'm gonna let you think about all the different products you can carry online from our open stock collection. Add them, we ship them. You can have a robust online store. So thank you, Ava. Thank you, Florida chapter. We really love you. So I'm gonna just really hope that you kind of take advantage of the mystery box. It's gonna be fun. I'm sending you lots of kisses. And I'm gonna start drinking Steve's alcohol, so you probably won't get that anyways in your mystery box. So Steve, you wanna share that screen?
Yep, so I'm going to share it right now. Let me know if anybody can't see it, but it should be up right now. Let me just quickly full screen this. So essentially, you would just go to this site, museumnerd.com/sign-up. It's going to prompt you to sign up for net 30 terms in a wholesale account. Once you do that, you see net 30 pricing, or I'm sorry, you see wholesale pricing and you're billed net 30 after checkout. If you sign up for this through this conference up until Monday, like David said, we'll send you a free mystery box, 10% off the whole site, open stock. That's Black Art Matter or Black Art Matters, Museum Nerd, anything we have up there, 10% off through Monday. And then if you have any questions, you can just email me. And I also put the link museumnerd.com/sign-up into the chat so you can copy and paste it directly. And then just quickly, I'm going to share one other thing is that Museum Store Sunday marketing kits are available as well. So get your Museum Store Sunday stuff. You can email me with questions and orders as well. So that's, and we've added masks this year. So Museum Store Sunday masks. So anyway, I won't take up more of your guys' time, and I'll give it back to Ava.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you. I want you to know, David, 1 year for Halloween, I gave out pencils. Needless to say, my daughter Rebecca barely spoke to me for like a month. She was so embarrassed, couldn't stand it. And yeah, I think she would have liked the pins instead. Anyway, thank you very much. And at this
the kids
time,
get paid back because they throw all the pins and buttons on my lawn, so I get hit by when I'm cutting the lawn, right? So they get payback. I got all kinds of thorns in my legs right now. So
at this time, I would like to introduce Elizabeth Price, MSA's Executive Director. Elizabeth joined MSA in September, and during a short meeting with chapter officers, she mentioned that she would like to attend a chapter meeting if anyone was scheduling theirs. Flashback of Nationals Convention in Atlanta, when the keynote speaker from World of Coke mentioned how he loved addressing museum audiences. Immediately, my hand went up, and I invited him to speak at our upcoming regional meeting in Orlando. And he agreed. Fortunately, I had my phone on silent because it began blowing up with text messages from people wanting to attend our regional meeting. As soon as Elizabeth mentioned it, I asked if she would consider attending our meeting, and I guess you know her answer. May I present Elizabeth Price.
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure that I'm going to have everybody's phones ringing off the hook at my attendance, but I appreciate the introduction and the welcome. And yes, anytime you guys have a meeting, I would love to attend and listen in so that we can kind of help stay in tune with what's going on with you and your needs, and just, you know, in general, to keep a check on our largest chapter so that we, you know, are here for you guys. But I've been in the seat about a month now and have been learning a lot, been very, very busy, of course. Going from a kind of a full staffed association to a one staffed association puts a lot of areas on one plate for me, and it's been great. I'm going to know all the intricacies about running MSA very shortly, which will be awesome for our future growth. I'll be able to train whoever we need in every department. So thanks for having me. I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. A little overview on what we're doing, though. We're about to launch the marketplace. You guys will start getting some communications about that. The launch date will be November 10th. And that's the day that buyers will be able to get their credentials, log in, view a webinar, a live how-to webinar, and the vendors will all be live. So you'll get an email soon just with a little more detail on that, and we'll keep updating you going forward now that we have those dates. So that's really, really exciting. You know, that combined with Museum Store Sunday, which we're working on, that webinar on kind of a how-to and what's new with Museum Store Sunday will be on Tuesday. Hopefully some of you all are able to join that and kind of view. We have Karen McNeely from Milwaukee. She's going to be giving an overview kind of what she's doing, a much larger campaign, taking it outside of just the one-day approach. So you should be able to get some really good ideas. It's also, they're going to go into the online store, kind of a new area where we have a page on there where customers can actually just click right on your logo and shop directly online, especially great for those who are not yet open and are only online at the moment. And for those who, you know, maybe going back into lockdown, my state currently, I think we're going to get an announcement today that we're going back into full quarantine for the state. So one of those things, but we will have the online options, and everybody's going to be, I think, busily buying all of their gifts online this year. So we're trying to get some good press out there. We sent some news releases out nationally through PR Newswire, actually invested a little bit in that to get the word out about this great day happening. And so those are kind of our main hot topics. We're also in discussions about meeting at the national level, you know, possibly virtually for 21 and what that's going to look like and what to do about 22 and 23. The board will have some decisions on that in the next few weeks. Probably after our board meeting, we'll have some announcements in that area. So looking forward to, you know, meeting you all virtually again and hopefully in person in the years to come. That's all for me.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's wonderful to have you join us as the new executive director, and we really appreciate all of the updates that you've given us. So applause to you. As we move forward, we're going to go into our first presentation for the day, titled Success with Consignment Vendors. Eileen Tito is our presenter. She is the Director of Marketing and Visitor Engagement at the Boca Raton Museum of Art in Boca Raton. In that role, Eileen oversees and plans the museum's marketing, public relations, social media. She also manages and trains visitor experience associates and directs the retail store operations and buying. She definitely has her hands full. She brings nearly 20 years of experience in management, administration, and sales. She previously honed her skills in retail department store sales and management, similar to me, and led recruitment and placement efforts at an art college while managing an effective sales team and collaborating on all marketing efforts. Eileen is self-described lifelong art and museum enthusiast, and she transitioned professionally into the museum world after completing a Master's of Arts degree in Museum Studies at the University of Oklahoma. In addition to that, she holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Florida International University with a focus in art history and studio art, and an Associate Art degree in art education from Miami-Dade College. Girl, you got it going on. So, her strong interest in art led to volunteer opportunities in the community, including a position as board member on the Arts and Public Places Arts Commission for the city of Boynton Beach. Eileen has also been a member of the Museum Store Association for the last 4 years. So we put our hands virtually together to welcome you. Thank you so much, Eileen. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Dan. I'm going to share my screen with you all. It's an honor to be here. I was super excited about presenting this in Cleveland, and obviously that didn't happen. And but this is super exciting, and happy to be here with all of you and to see you. If you're not familiar with the Boca Raton Museum of Art, we have been around since 1950. And we receive about 100,000 visitors a year. I would say we're a medium-sized museum, less than 50 employees. And our museum store is beautiful, as you can see. I'm so proud of it. It was remodeled about 4 or 5 years ago, and they just did a beautiful job in opening it up. My only challenge is we have a lot of walls that are windows. So I don't have a lot of wall space, but we have a lot of table space, and it's very bright and airy and beautiful. So people love that. I'll share, some of our secrets. We do make about 200,000 a year. So like I said, we're not a very large museum, but so I would definitely classify it as a medium-sized museum. And we have quite a bit of space for our store, which is really nice. During this whole pandemic, we shut down March 16th, and we reopened on June 3rd, which is, we were one of the first museums, if not the first, to open up in our area. And I can say we really have had zero issues with people cooperating with all the COVID regulations and wearing their masks and keeping distance. Luckily we have a lot of space. So having 100 people at one time in the museum, you still have plenty of space, and we haven't even had that many. I would say on a weekend day, we're getting about 120, but obviously not all at once. That's throughout the whole day. So basically when all this happened, like I'm sure most of you, our budgets were completely slashed. There was like no more spending. Obviously, some things are super important, like keeping people employed. So all expenses across the board throughout the museum were cut. So that meant no orders for the store or anything like that until our new fiscal year started, which luckily our new fiscal year started October 1st. So we're able to resume orders, and have already, placed some orders with our vendors, which is really great. But one of the things that has kept our mix in the store fresh has been consignment vendors. And that's really what I want to talk to you guys about today, how to manage relationships with consignment vendors and how to include that into your store. If you already have consignment vendors, I hope you'll find some little nuggets of information helpful, because we have been pretty successful and have a really good system in place for managing those relationships and processing all the merchandise and keeping inventory and giving them their payments, and how to set it up right from the beginning. So hopefully you'll find some tips today to help you with that. So why are we such big fans of consignment? In our experience, it's making up about 20% of our retail sales. So we're still supporting all our vendors and placing a lot of orders through them. Many that are here today. But it does make up 20% of our sales, which is pretty, it's a pretty significant portion. So what I want to talk to you about today is kind of set up a easy, manageable process, because sometimes you might feel like it takes up a lot of time to manage all these different vendors, especially if they're local and things like that. So we'll talk about why it really can be an easy process and how we've managed to make it work. And we're able to do the whole process for all of our vendors in about 4 hours a month. I'm gonna say 4 to 5 hours a month. That's all we put into it. And when I say we, it's myself, and I do have a store manager who I'm training right now. So it's really nice because I do have my plate full, like as Dan mentioned, between marketing and PR and front desk and the store. I was able to get a store manager, I believe it was January of this year. And then we shut down. So I'm still in the training process with him, because basically we didn't do anything for a few months. So we have about 17 artists that we currently work with. A lot of, I would say 95% of them are local artists. I do have one that's in Tennessee. And we started off with 2. Like when I first came onto the store 4 years ago or so, I was a little intimidated by it. So I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to work. So we started off with just 2 vendors, and it's really grown. And that's what's been able to keep the store mix like really fresh and relevant to whatever we have going on. as far as exhibitions and whatever's happening in the museum is by working really closely with these artists, and they're really eager to meet our needs. So it's really nice. Also during this time, we've been able to help support local artists. So everybody's struggling, of course, and artists always need help and support. They love being part of the museum. It's, you know, it's really prestigious for them, and so it's definitely feel good for both. Like it really does work really well. So that's a very, you know, a nice thing you can do is help support artists in your community. Also, in turn, the community really notices that. So we're able to gain support from the community. They're always like, oh, I always know that I can go into the museum store and get something really unique that's not mass produced, that everybody doesn't have. So people really start seeing that you're helping local artists, and in turn, they want to help support the museum and the museum store. Another reason that we're a big fan of consignment sales is there's minimal risk. There's no initial investment. The cost on these items does not hit our books. So we're able to bring in and experiment a little bit. Some items that I would have never thought would sell, and I really wouldn't have been able to take a risk on it because of our budget. We're able to bring it in on consignment, and then it just works out really well. And if it doesn't work out, then, you know, it's, like I said, no initial investment. And when I say minimal risk, there's always a little bit of risk that something can break, something can get stolen. You know, that's really the only downside to it. But that happens with any merchandise, really. And something else we love about consignment sales is we can get unique custom items. We have really good relationships with these artists, and they'll create a piece or a collection of pieces for an exhibition that we have, or for an event that we have coming up. So it's really nice that we're able to tailor it to what we need. So I know in the past, the reason I got the idea to do this presentation is because I've spoken with other colleagues in the museum store business, and they're very hesitant about working with consignment in the consignment terms. They may have had a previous bad experience, or they're coming into a store, like they're a new employee in the store, and they have, you know, one person I spoke with told me we have about 20 consignment artists, all different artists in the local area, and none of the stuff is selling. And it's been there forever. And they don't come and check on it, and they don't freshen up the mix, and we can't get rid of them because we've had them for such a long time. So some people are hesitant because of that. Or maybe you had a bad breakup, like some of the stuff didn't sell, you had to tell the artist it wasn't selling, and they took it in a very not so nice way, so then you lose their support. We're gonna talk about how to prevent some of these things. Or sometimes, like I know it happens a lot in our store, people walk in and they're like, oh, I want to talk to the buyer because I want to show them my jewelry collection, and maybe you're too nice to say no. So we're going to talk about some of those ways where you can prevent those things and have a good, healthy, successful relationship with both. All right, so one of the first things that we did to set up this process properly, something that would work for us, we want to make sure that we're picking the right items for our store. So we set up our own rules. Like you really have to kind of step back and say, what are the things that I want for the store, that I need, that really match, that really based on the mission and the needs of the museum. That's like the main thing that guides everything that we pick. And then you communicate those rules. So the way we do that is we have a new item submission form. People will receive that the minute they're interested in bringing their products into the store. We have this form that kind of lays out exactly what we're looking for, and a whole process of things they need to submit to make our lives a little bit easier. We also let them know that we select items twice a year, so that way they're not expecting to jump on board, you know, like you don't have to drop everything you're doing to add a new vendor. You do it when it works for you and your museum schedule. We lay out a contract with them, and I'll show you sample contract. I'll show you our submission form so you can kind of see what we look at. Basically, you know, we communicate those rules. We have a contract, and the contract lays out everything super clear. So we have a start date, an end date with this artist. And if things don't work out during that period, then you already have your out. You don't have to have, you know, an uncomfortable conversation with them. We enforce the terms equally. So just because someone's been there for a really long time doesn't mean the rules don't apply to them. You know, we try to keep it fair and equal for everybody, and that really makes it a lot simpler and cleaner, just more transparent. Like I said, we set the expectation from the beginning. So we go over our process with them. We tell them exactly what we're looking for. We'll give them a 90-day window to sell some items. If the items don't sell, then we end the relationship, you know, or we can try with another item, things like that. But basically setting the expectations from the beginning will help you prevent any uncomfortable conversations in the future. So that's something we really believe in. Another thing we look for is this someone I really want to do business with? So if somebody's hounding you with 10 emails a day, 10 phone calls, wanting to show up when you don't have it, when they don't have an appointment to show you things, things like that, those are all things we take into consideration, because as you know, we get super busy, our time is super valuable, and if someone isn't really respecting that, then it makes it a very difficult relationship from the beginning. So keep those things in mind. Like, is this somebody that I want to work with? Is this a nice person that follows through, has good items? Those are all things that we look at, and it could be a little selfish, but it does help or make our lives a little bit easier. These are just some examples of a couple. I'll show you some pictures throughout where we have local artists that created items specifically related to the exhibitions that we have. Jeff Wyman is a ceramics artist that we have upstairs now in an exhibition, and he sells pieces for thousands of dollars, has been in, you know, a bunch of museums and things like that. But he has a line of more simpler functional pieces like this vase, and he has mugs as well that he created for the museum store. So it's really nice because people can go upstairs, see the exhibit, and then own a piece from the artist. We also have Edward Steichen Art Deco panels, like painted panels that are gorgeous with gold and are the size of a room. This local artist, Esther Gold, she works with vintage Tiffany glass and Art Deco designs. So she was able to tailor her designs that she created for the store based on the Edward Steichen exhibition. So it's just really nice to work with the artist on something specific. All right, so going back to the new item submission form, I'm going to send you all in chat a link to a Dropbox that has all my sample forms, so you can kind of take a look at them and you might be able to use them or take little bits and pieces that you like. Just talking with other museums and seeing what their process was like when they were trying to consider a new vendor for their store, we were able to grab bits and pieces from them and put this together for us. And basically, we let people know what we're looking for. So if their items that they're trying to bring in don't match this criteria, then they already know, okay, this might not be a good match. But basically, we let them know ahead of time. We're looking for things that are related to the museum's collection or related to an exhibition, a current or upcoming exhibition. So for example, we don't have a lot of Asian art. We don't have any Asian art on view in our museum. So if someone is trying to bring me, you know, like beautiful Asian watercolors, it just doesn't go with our museum. Like there's no real reason or connection to have it in our store. So we don't consider that. We want to look, our store, as you saw in the photo, it's very modern, very clean. So we're looking for things that embrace modernism, good design, modern style that fits in with the aesthetic of the store. So, you know, like a Victorian vase is not really going to match with the store. So these are some of the things that we look for. Anything with an innovative material or innovative technology, something that's unconventional, but again, with that modern spirit. Innovative function, a cutting edge or exclusive design, and tested items. We don't want someone to kind of use us as a guinea pig for their products. So we want to make sure these are tested and true items. And then toys and books, we're pretty specific with this. We like non-gender specific books that and toys. So that way when people come in to shop, they're like, is this toy for a girl or a boy? It doesn't matter. We don't, you know, we don't really get into that. So what we do is we try to make sure everything in the kids section is gender neutral, so it makes it easy for gift shopping, and it could be a gift for anyone, and that it's specific to art, art history, or art making related. So it's pretty simple, but it kind of outlines the kind of things we're looking for, and that's what we start off with. Step one, they would submit a packet that's got, it has their justification of how their items match up to this criteria. So we let them explain to us why it fits in our store. We ask for images, we ask for a price list. I also ask them if they are selling their items anywhere in the immediate area, because we don't want to, you know, compete with someone that's got it like 2 doors down. Want to make sure we have a unique mix. So congrats, you're accepted into the store. Let's talk about some terms. So this is the time where we set up that relationship. Like I was talking about, we go over the agreement. Everybody gets a signed copy. We set clear, very clear start and end dates. And we can extend it past that after the trial period, but we want to make sure that they know that we're giving it a try. This relationship is not until the end of time. Something we do at our store is we do a 50-50 split with artists, and that's really up to you. Some places do 30-70, 40-60. It's really up to your museum. Most artists are happy to do that. They understand that all sales from the museum store benefit the museum, and that's one of the great things about being a museum store instead of like a gallery or a small boutique where you're taking a big chunk for the artist and it's just for profit. So obviously they buy into that nonprofit philanthropy mindset and are happy to do a 50-50 split with us. We go over the payment procedures with them, and we take responsibility for the items. So I have had a couple necklaces stolen, vases, you know, a vase broken, and we do pay the artist for that because I feel like once we have it in our store, it's on our, you know, it's our responsibility. But that's totally up to you and how your museum wants to handle that. And then the member discount, we give our members a 10% discount for shopping in the store, and that portion, that 10% comes out of our 50, if that makes sense. So these are some of our best-selling artists for this last fiscal year that just ended. Kurt Brock, he's the artist I was telling you is from Tennessee. He's a glass artist, and these vases sell like crazy. He sells a ton of these all the time. Ala is one of our new vendors from this year, and she was our #2 vendor. She does silk scarves, all hand-painted, beautiful stuff, and people really love them. And Susan Peck. So Susan does a little bit of everything, all hand-painted as well, but she does these stuffed animals. She does glasses, covers, or sleeves to put your glasses in. She does scarves. So she's experimented a little bit with her product mix, and it's really worked out for her. So those are just some examples. Some things to include in your contract. Like I said, I'll send you my sample, a sample of what we use. It's really simple, but basically on there you want to put start and end dates, payment terms. So what we do is we let them know 15 days following the end of each month, they'll have their check. And it's really sooner than that. We pull it, like for example, we'll pull November 1st, we'll pull all of the October sales by each vendor and let them know exactly what was sold. And then we send them a check right away. But that way, at least they know I'm not going to get paid every time an item sells. We're not going to turn around and write a check. So again, you set up that relationship so that it's something that's manageable for you and easy for you. That's the goal. We don't want to work harder, just smarter. So when they on the contract, they should also include who the check is payable to. Some people have a business set up. Some people want it directly to their name. So that way we want to clear that up right away. The artist will provide an inventory list when they bring in their items with the wholesale price and the retail price, because they may be selling items somewhere else. You want to make sure you're keeping it consistent in the quantity of the items. So they'll bring in a list with everything that they're dropping off, excuse me. And then the artist will cover delivery. They usually, whether they bring it in person or it's shipped, like Kurt ships his vases to us, he covers the shipping cost. And on the contract, you should also have your sales evaluation period. So whether you want to do 3 months, 4 months, you know, whatever you think works best for you to give it a good trial. Usually, since things are so seasonal here in South Florida, at least in Boca, it's very seasonal. If they're starting in the summer, I'll usually extend it a little bit more just because our summers are very, very light with attendance. So, you know, 3 months, you can play that by ear. It's really whatever you prefer. On the contract should also be the contact information for the artist, like their mailing address, where am I sending this check, their email, their phone number. So you don't just want them to like drop off the stuff and disappear. You want to be able to reach them and maintain that relationship. And then our business office requires a W-9 if they're sending out a payment to someone. So if someone's making more than $600 a year, they'll require a W-9. So that's, you know, going to be up to you, where your location and your business office, what they prefer to do. So keeping track of inventory and sales. I know it could kind of seem a little bit overwhelming if you have too many artists going at once, but the main thing is going to be organization. You're going to get a detailed inventory list when the items are dropped off. I have a file for each vendor, so that way we know exactly like where their info is and what they want to get for their pieces. And then we use Counterpoint as our point of sale. I know everybody's got a different point of sale and you love it or hate it, or most people hate their POS. But for this, it works for us. What we do is we enter all the items into into Counterpoint. It creates an item number, print out a price tag, very simple. When we're entering these items into our POS and into our inventory, we enter them with a zero cost. Because again, you're not going to pay for these items until you actually sell them. So that's what's really worked out for us. And you don't want to be adding all these things to your inventory, messing up your valuation reports and things like that. So we enter with a zero cost. Like I said, the following month, we'll pull a sales report for that vendor. I usually pull a report for each individual vendor, and that way it's easy to easy to see what each person sold, excuse me. You refer to the inventory list that they dropped off originally, and that way you'll know exactly what you have to pay them. Sometimes it can get a little confusing. Like I said, we have member discounts, but we pay them 50% off the retail price. And then basically we request a check. Once we've gathered the report, see exactly what each vendor sold, then we request a check to be sent to them, and our business office does that. So only the cost of the items that sold actually hit your books. So which is great. And then we email the artist with the good news, let them know what's sold, and let them know a check is on the way. And then at that moment, we think of what's the next step with this artist. Do we still have enough inventory? Do we need to set up a meeting with them to kind of get some more product in the store? Or perhaps things aren't going so well. So sometimes you have to have a conversation and give them some feedback, whether it's about pricing or changing up the mix in the store, and give them an opportunity to kind of, get some sales. All right, so this is just a sample inventory list, super easy. Usually the artist fills it out when they come in and they're dropping off their pieces. Sometimes jewelry artists will come with all their trays, and then we pick what we want, usually start with like 10, 15 pieces. And then they fill out the form, and then we know exactly what we're gonna sell it for, exactly what the cost is and what they're gonna be paid for each piece. And we keep this sheet to enter the information into our POS system. I usually write down the item number that's assigned, and just makes it very easy to keep track of the pieces. And this is just a sample sales report that we get from our system. As you can see, hand-painted silk scarf. She sold 2 silk scarves, a parasol, and a stuffed silk animal. And you can see what the retail price is for that. So we pull this for each vendor, and that gives us an easy way to figure out what we're going to pay each person each month. And we keep a copy of that. So with the consignment vendor pieces, merchandising is key. Obviously with all your merchandise, but how you display it is really important. And one of the things we found to be the most important is highlighting the local artists with signage. Very simple sign. We just print these here as we need them. Highlighting them, because somebody coming in from the street is not going to know, oh, this is actually a local artist, or this you know, a unique piece to the area. So it's really cool. And we also, so we'll do these little red local artist signs that highlight the pieces, but we also do a little artist bio. And I usually have them send me just a brief little bio about their work, about the pieces. It could be a quote, it could be about their process. We found that people really like to know more about the artist and know more about what they're buying and kind of like, what's the story of this piece? So it's something really cool to highlight. So marketing and promotions. These local artists are great at self-promoting. So it really does help you. They post it on social. Social media is a great free tool. So we'll highlight them. We'll make a post. Hey, Millie Hirschman just brought in her new collection, and we'll put pictures of that. But what's more exciting is when Millie posts it herself. So you're not just talking about yourself. You have other people talking about you. So it's really nice. Or people who follow her will share it as well. So we take advantage of that, and we always work with them to help promote it. Once we set up the display, we send pictures to them. They love to see that, and they love to kind of see how everything turned out. Some of the things we do is that, and having these local artists nearby really helps with shopping events. So like trunk shows, meet the artist, artist demos. We've had ceramic artists come and do demos. We've had purse signing. So this is a picture from a purse signing where Julie Feldman, she signs, or you know, the purse inside, and people really like that. So yeah, it just makes it very easy to do marketing with them. Another great thing, like I mentioned, is gaining community support and supporting local artists. So the signage, like I said, really helps to raise that awareness. People coming in, they don't know who's what. So you really got to point it out to them and say, oh yeah, this is local artists. And we constantly get comments about, oh my gosh, it's so great that you have so many local artists in here and that you help support the local artist community. And that's something that's really unique to our mission, our museum's mission. In 1950, like I said, it was founded by artists, and it started off as an artist guild in the area. Continued with the Artist Guild. We also have an art school. So supporting local artists and being a resource for them is really important to us, and the community loves it. It's also great for PR. So for example, this is something Discover the Palm Beaches added one of our artists into their holiday shopping guide, and then the artist shared the information. So it's that other people talking about you, which is really great. It also leads to great collaborations. You know, like I've mentioned, artists have created pieces for our exhibitions. We have artists that have met through the store and work together now. Like we'll display matching necklaces with the scarf and things like that. So it's really, really fun as well, and it really can help your museum. These are just some examples of artists that are promoting themselves by having pieces in our store. So Elise Ryan had a really great trunk show we did with her, and it's all these like beaded bracelets, and she sold thousands in one day, which we were surprised. But she has such a big following. She has a bigger following than we do. So it was really a good partnership, because her followers then came into the museum and really helped us. So it was really nice. And proceeds of all her sales actually go to charity. So it's a good organization to get behind. Susan Pellish, she's one of our docents, and she is a glass artist. But what she did is she created these like paint splatter, paint buckets and trophies with alligators coming out. We had Imagining Florida exhibition. So she created these specifically for the exhibition, and a lot of her collectors came into the store just to buy them. So we still have them, even though the exhibition's gone, because of her following. So it's really nice. And Andrea Huffman is she's a textile artist that teaches at our art school. So every time she brings in a new set of pillows or purses, she posts it on social. Her students come, and like I said, her following really helps to promote the items. Just a couple more examples. that we'll post when we get new pieces in the store. You know, it's wonderful having Alyssa in the store today, and this is during one of her trunk shows. So again, we use them as a resource. We use the artists to help not only set up their displays, help during events, and help promote. So it's a good partnership. All right. So just some of the main takeaways from the presentation that I hope you'll definitely try to incorporate some consignment sales into your store. I hope I had a convincing argument on how it could be easy and manageable. The main tips: really set your rules from the beginning, you know, manage those expectations so that you're not arguing with someone or they get their feelings hurt when you have to pull them out of the store. You know, numbers are numbers. So if things are selling, it's a great relationship. If they're not, then you have to have that tough conversation. But hopefully setting it up from the beginning can really make it easier for you. Be organized. That's one thing that's super helpful. Sometimes the artists will just come in, run into the store and say, oh, here, I'm dropping off these new scarves, but I gotta go. You know, making sure that you have the itemized list of what you're getting, that they sign off on it, you know, just so everybody is aware of what's going on is going to make your life easier. And communicate. So we touch base with our artists at least once a month, and it could just be a quick email like things are going great, or, you know, things aren't selling so great. Let's talk about pricing, or let's set up a meeting where you can bring in some new pieces. So yeah, communicate, set your rules, and it should be a really nice relationship. So do you guys have any questions for me?
I think there are some questions.
Oh, go ahead, Eva.
No, go on, Scott.
We did have a couple of questions. One of them is, other than individual makers and local artists, have you ever worked with vendors on a consignment type situation?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually, with Italianissimo, who's here, and they're MSA members, they're amazing. They have some pieces in the store that we always have that are just on consignment, like pretty much continuously from their collection. So it works out really well, especially with some vendors that are like, oh, I'd really, you know, love for you to try this new piece, but I know your budget is maxed out. So a lot of vendors are really willing to work with us in that way. But Italianissimo is one I can think of off the top of my head that has been super successful. They're also wonderful because they're very local for us. They're like walking distance almost. So they help us with events. They help set up display. So Mauro and Diane are awesome and very flexible to work with. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of asking. Even some jewelry vendors that have wanted us to start off by placing a huge order, we're like, we really can't afford to do that. We don't have such a big budget, or I'm not really sure that this is going to work for our audience. Well, they say, well, let's try it. And sometimes it's a good way to start. So yeah.
Good, thank you. We also had someone who was curious as to who the middle artist was again in your presentation of your top sellers, your 3 top sellers. Oh,
okay, yeah, let me go back to that.
I do have to say you have some wonderful artists.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's, you know, it's been a process, but I can honestly say the ones that we have right now are doing really well. So this is Ala Krimen is her last name, and she's here in Boca, and she's doing these beautiful scarves. I mean, she even did sun hats over the summer that I did. Again, one of those items I didn't think was going to sell. Like, I personally wouldn't wear a sun hat, but they sold. They sold. She sold us a bunch of hats.
Painted.
I'm sorry?
Is it embroidered or is it painted?
It's painted. They're all hand painted. Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and she's a traditional like fine artist that does paintings, and then she started doing it in the scarves, and that's one thing we look at is functional items. So we don't have a lot of just paintings in the store. We don't have any paintings really. It's what's functional. What can people use, like a piece of art that they can use. Yeah.
We had another question is, do you allow artists to sell at set a retail price, or do you work with them on setting the retail price for the store?
Usually we ask them, you know, we ask them what's the retail price, what do they sell for, or they'll usually tell us what they want to get. They like Ala will say, well, I really want to get like you know, $60 to $75 for this scarf.
Right.
So we said, you know, we just double it as a starting point. And then some artists that if they're newer and they're not sure what to set it at, you know, we ask them, what would you like to get for it? We want to make sure they're getting a fair cut. But then we work with them. So for example, if they say, well, you know, I really need to get $80 for this, but, and I say, okay, well, let's start it at that price and we'll adjust. If we see in 2-3 months things aren't selling, or if we hear comments from visitors, we let them know. And that's one of those things I was saying, it's just communicating with them. A lot of them are willing to, you know, they really want to be part of the museum store. So they're very flexible and happy to adjust their prices. I think that we've only had like 1 or 2 vendors that are like, nope, that's my price. And I say, okay. But yeah, most of the times they're pretty flexible.
It kind of goes hand in hand with that, but if it's outpriced to your market, are you willing to work with them? If it's over, you know, or do you I think you mentioned that you set the price and then you kind of give it a chance, but if they come in and it's really high, do you just let them know like this isn't?
Yeah, we do. And we've had to do that because sometimes they're like, you know, it's a $300-400 necklace and we know that it's not going to sell. We tell them, okay, so usually we see that jewelry will sell better if it's under $250. You know, people aren't as hesitant. And if they're really stuck on it, I say, okay, let's try it. Let's try it for a couple months and see where it goes from there. And just communicate with them, give them the feedback. And if they don't want to drop the prices, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, we try to give them some advice, but you know, it's up to them. I hate to tell an artist like, oh no, that, you know, that price isn't good. You know, they know what it's worth. So we don't really want to offend anybody. So it's just really like, yeah, let's try it. Yeah.
We also had a question, how do you extend trial periods for the hits and new contracts? And how do you handle them?
Yeah, usually what we do is we'll send a revised contract back out to them, you know, talk about that and say, hey, things are doing great. Let's extend it to the end of the season, or let's do it for a year. Usually if it's good, you know, really good, the first 3 months, we'll do it for a year and then we revisit it. And some artists, you know, like Kurt that you see on the left, he's been with us for about 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just, some of them work really well. We kind of just keep it going. And some of them are like, oh, I don't really need a new contract. I would say that the dates on the contract are going to be important for you for that trial period, because then you can just say, okay, trial period's up. Unfortunately, it didn't sell so great. So, you know, we can try again in the future, or something like, or with different products. But yeah, usually we just send out a revised contract for a year at that point if things are doing well.
Excellent. We had a message from Frank. He says hello.
Oh, hi, Frank.
We have presentation to you.
Yeah, we got great bags from Frank for our store.
You mentioned social media promotion and artists. Do you ask the artists to promote Boca Art Museum events and their art social media posts?
Yes. So both. So we'll either they post and we share it, or we'll post and they share it on their page. Usually for a trunk show, if we're setting it up as an event on Facebook, we set them up as the co-host. So that way it'll show up on both our pages. But yeah, I'm gonna say 80% of our artists are on social media and they are happy to share it. And their followers, you know, come in and are happy to see them in the store, and it's really nice.
I have a question. In regards to, do you have a set schedule for your trunk shows? Like, do you say you're going to do one a month? Do you say you're going to do it at the beginning of each month or the 10th of, you know, do you have kind of a program like that keeps you on track, or is it just kind of random?
So I'm going to say it follows our museum event schedule mostly. So it'll be, if we have, let's say on a Saturday, well, right now we're not really doing any trunk shows, you know, because of this whole thing. Our next like in-store event is going to be Museum Store Sunday. So we're excited about that. And even then we usually have a guest, but we're trying to limit that this year. We might do like a virtual presentation or something along with the day. But we try to match it with things that are happening in the museum that I know bring in a crowd. So that way the artist has a lot of people to interact with. Because sometimes a Sunday afternoon can be kind of quiet. But if we have music in the museum or we have a lecture going on, then we know already 150 people are going to come to that. Then we will hold the event on that day. And we usually try to do during regular times and regular season about one a month.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyone have any other questions? You can type them into chat.
You could also just sort of shout out if you need to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And my email address, if you guys want to, you know, send any other questions or, you know, anything specific you'd like to ask, be more than happy to connect.
Eileen, thank you for doing this presentation for us. It was, I thought that the timing with everything that we've been going through, it just seemed as though consignment was going to be such a reasonable and important answer to a lot of people's questions and concerns about how they were going to be successful for the upcoming period that we're in. So thank you for sharing that. And
thank you guys. Thank you. I hope it was helpful. Yeah.
And please stay on. I mean, I hope you'll be able to stay on, but yes. Ari Lowenstein is going to be giving us a presentation. Jackie's going to introduce him now, I think. So thanks very much, Eileen.
Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackie Goldman. I know most of you. I am the owner of Puzzles Plus in Jacksonville, Florida, and welcome. I have the pleasure of introducing Ari Lowenstein. I have known him for years and years. He is the most approachable human being, kind, sweet, so many great things. Anyway, I'm going to read you his bio. So please excuse me as I look down. With an original life goal of becoming a high school physics teacher. I'm sorry, Ari, that just sounds like I could see you as a gym teacher or an English teacher, but a physics? Ari Lowenstein first became a member of the MSA Museum Store Association in 1999. Since then, Ari has lived in 5 different countries, 4 different states. He is fluent in Italian, and he says, cooking Italian cuisine. He's been engaged a few times. I don't know why he had to put that in his bio. He's and is a vendor advisor to the MSA board of, oops, I think I skipped this. Been engaged a few times, worked for 4 different MSA vendors and advised many others, and served for 2 years as member advisor to the MSA board of directors. Recently, he was recognized and received the MSA Advocacy Award. Ari now serves as Chief Strategy Officer for Brandwise, where his role includes launching programs with associations in many sectors. I'd like to introduce, for those who know Ari and who don't know Ari Lowenstein.
Hello, everyone. Quite honored to be here. I recognize a lot of you, but also very exciting I don't recognize a lot of you. How we got here today is that for many years, the MSA has been talking about setting up a marketplace. I think many years ago, they actually made a run at it where it's kind of just something you could see. And when I took on this role with Brandwise, I advised them about a year ago, and I looked at what they were doing. I realized that the architecture of it was perfect to bring something to the MSA. And it's funny when you've been involved with something as long as I am, you know, I'll like be in the supermarket buying a quart of milk and I'll say, would that be good for the MSA? Because everything just kind of, leads there. I've had an exciting 20 years. So when I was working with Brandwise and I introduced them, I said, you know, there's an opportunity here for associations. It wasn't on their radar. But a number of conversations that started towards the end of last year that happened in January and February, and then took on a whole new meeting, obviously when the world turned upside down. I'm going to start with some of the exciting statistics before I get into showing you a little bit of a look and feel of how it's going to work. I'm not sure if the email's gone out today, but the vendors will find out. Hey, David, that over 12,000 SKUs have already been loaded into the system. So 12,000 products are already up on the MSA marketplace. 6,000 of them already have images. That's being done by 58 different vendors. 136 or nearly 140 vendors have now signed the contracts. So this is really happening. This is not something we could go live today and there'll already be 12,000 SKUs in it, which would already be a great marketplace. The process of the onboarding, which some of the suppliers were concerned about, for many of them, I was talking with one, she said, I sat down in 3 hours and I got it done. That means renaming all of her image files and all of it. So it really is happening. So what I'd like to do, if anyone would like, is raise your hand if anyone would like to see what the marketplace is going to look like. All right, so the eyes have it. Okay, so let's go ahead and show it. All right, can someone make me a presenter? Am I a presenter? Can I share my screen? I can share my screen. Okay, let's share my screen. All right, can you all see something that looks like a marketplace? Yes? Okay, okay. So these companies, so just to, this is again, we're not, the launch date, by the way, which is also going to be announced today, is November 10th. November 10th, there'll be a launch date where the site will go active, and there'll be a webinar on that day, including instructions for the retailers of how they can access it. A number of them will already have what's called a BrandWise passport, which is basically your account to get into the whole BrandWise ecosystem. But I'll start, and I'll explain some of that, but I'll start just by showing this. So these companies that already have an image here, these are ones that would have already sent in their lifestyle image, and they're along the way. They're in progress in terms of loading their information. The search bar here on the left, which isn't right now dynamic, but that you'll be able to scroll through. There's a search by category. So you can see all of these companies have already started the process of loading their product, which I'm super excited about. So let's do an example of what something might look like. Let me just make sure my cart is empty, which it is not. So I'm just going to clear this so we can do this from the beginning. Okay, so let's go back to, let's say that I wanted to do a search for Monet. This is the exciting part. Okay, so now what's happened is a whole bunch of Monet product from a whole bunch of different suppliers have loaded up. So let's say you're looking for an exhibit. Then it depends on how much of the data they've put in, but we can do a little experiment here. So I like these umbrellas from Raincaper. Okay, so their data is not fully up there yet. Let's grab some others. Okay, so I can grab a scarf from Elizabeth Gillette. I can add some puzzles from New York Puzzle Company. I can add some, let's see, some socks. And although UPG isn't active yet, we'll add a couple of cards. Ooh, that's because they're not active yet. Okay. So if I now go to my cart, what I see is these are all the different orders that I just started placing. Now, obviously, I can go in, work with all those suppliers, and I can just add product to their cart. So let's say, so again, all of this, the suppliers haven't set all of their information. These are all green. They'll be able to set their minimum order. Let's say that the minimum order for New York Puzzle Company was $100. This would be orange or yellow. So I can go back. If I go to this order, I can continue shopping. Go back to New York Puzzle Company. Now I can see all of their products, and then I can add a whole bunch more to it. So it's really, fairly, again, all their product data might not be in yet. So this is one of those pieces where, let's see if they've loaded everything in. They have, okay. So now I've loaded those, I can go back to my cart, and these orders that I'm building here, these can stay in your cart until you're ready to check out. When you're ready to check out, again, there'll be webinars on this. You can confirm your billing address, confirm your shipping address, you can, the terms, all these different options are in there. And then you can push the order through. So this is, I wanted to start with the end. This is what the site's going to look like. Are there any questions about the site specifically? I'll get into some of the other information, but is there anything that anybody wanted to see on here? There's going to be the new search bar is being more dynamic, and that you can search by brand or by by product. There's also in the next I believe the next iteration or the one after, we're going to start adding in attributes, which again is going to be all data that the suppliers themselves will load in. But if they want to load in country of origin, if they want to put in material, those are all pieces that are going to roll out through next year. When we get to that level of sophistication, we wanted to get what we call an MVP, minimum viable product, up. I think it looks great. There's also going to be within the companies, there's this brand profile where the companies will be putting in information here, including their terms and conditions, a little bit about the company. And then the products themselves are going to have options for to add in a lot more information about how it's made. There'll be a pop-up window that might be already active, but not on this site yet, again, because the launch date is November 10th. But I'm really excited because we're already, anyway, this is actually shoppable today, but we don't want to launch it until there's a real splash. So you want to cover any questions about the site before I go into some of the nitty gritty? Is my volume on?
Yeah, it looked like Lawrence had a question. Do you have a question, Lawrence? No.
There is one question on here from Donna. Is this on the MSA website to see it before the launch?
It won't be, this all won't be connected until we actually go live. There is going to be is Donna a supplier, a vendor, or a store?
Vendor.
Vendor. So Donna, there is going to be a browse mode that we're going to be introducing to all of you probably next week where you'll be able to go in and see just your product. You won't be able to see everybody else's.
And from Kim Higgins, hi, Ari.
Hi, Kim.
Can you see? Okay. First,
Kim, you
where
need to
is
sign
my,
your contract.
can you read this, Ari?
Hold on.
Okay, wait. First, where is my promised spaghetti sauce?
Yes.
Kim. And next, Bamboo is listed, but we are upgrading all of our pics for our website. Who do we reach out to?
Sign the contract. This is on here because we pre-populated you because you're in the system, Kim. You need to sign your contract to return it, and then everything else will get going. But you can shoot me an email offline, and I'll walk you through it.
Another question: does this site affect any reps for the various companies that are on Marketplace?
Yeah. So a couple of pieces just so that we can kind of put it all in context. This site is going to cost the vendors 3%, unlike something like Fair that costs the vendors 25% or 15%. The orders that are placed through here, the sales reps are going to have visibility on, but they are going to cost the supplier 3%, and there's a revenue share with the MSA that's on that. So how it affects them is up to each supplier. To be perfectly honest, that's not up to the MSA, and it's not up to Brandwise. We're going to be able to provide visibility. What you do with that 3% is up to you. What I will say is, and this is kind of whenever I have these conversations, the part that it goes through, if you look at this marketplace as it cannibalizing orders that a sales rep would have gotten, I think you're missing the point. Because the sales reps, who I hold near and dear to my heart, don't get to every single MSA member. This is about discoverability. So what I can tell you as a supplier, and I'm not speaking from Brandwise, is that what you're going to pick up here is going to be vast compared to only what your sales reps would have gotten. And the beauty here is that then when you pick up that new customer, you can hand that to the sales rep. The sales rep can write orders with them direct all day long, and they're not going through the site. So how will it affect them? They will have visibility to the orders. You will pay 3%. Now, whether that's the 3% that as a supplier you decide to absorb as a cost yourself, or if you decide to ding that on the sales rep and give them the remaining, whatever it is, 12 or 15, and whether or not you want them to have visibility or they get any credit for the order, that's up to each individual supplier. Brandwise and the Museum Store Association aren't making policy on that. This is going to be an enormous increase to the interconnectivity that the association has. And so I think it's going to be important to look at this as a larger pie as opposed to dividing up the pie that's already there and saying, well, now we're going to lose 3% of it. And if there's been any lesson about that, Fair has been the lesson there. Fair has generated a lot of new accounts for suppliers. There's no question. We're going to do that with this within the MSA world by giving you discoverability to all of those members. But that's basically kind of where we're putting that.
Okay, three questions here.
Sure.
One is from Dean from Channelcraft.
Hey, Dean.
Dean, so glad that you're here, Dean. How many SKUs per
Unlimited.
Okay. And Donna McNett from Donna's Scarves. What if you do custom goods like Donna's Scarves?
Yeah. So this is so the site coming out of the gate is not built for custom. It is built for discoverability. It's not built for custom. We're right now going to be putting together a small group of vendors to have a conversation with them about what are the first features that they want. Consider that everyone's technical requirements would be drastically different, right? Someone might need an image that's 500 by 500. One might need it by 2000 by 2000. It's going to be different file types. The process is different. You don't just place, shoot in an image and then get a product, right? Not in our world. We color check. We go back and forth with samples. We're working on a solution to add that in. We knew coming out of the gate that it wasn't going to have all the bells and whistles for that, but we are considering it. What we want to ensure is that you have discoverability right now. So my recommendation is going to be that we're going to put together what we recommend as best practice right now, but that you include the different products that you make with the word custom as the lead word, and so that the discoverability can be there. So if somebody looks up custom scarf, they can find custom scarf. And then, and the same goes with sizes and other pieces. Eventually this will have sizes as we have a child-parent relationship, as that's baked into the site. So if you do apparel, you can have that as well. Doesn't have that feature right this second coming out of the gate, but all of those are on the roadmap. For now, we'll put out some best practice in terms of, I don't want to say workaround, but how to use this. And in that case, the way I would encourage a custom manufacturer to look at this is imagine you're at the expo. You don't put out a sign out front that says custom with all of your prices. You put the product out front and you put the word custom next to it. So the buyer walks up and says, "Oh, do you do custom?" And you say, "Yep, that's what the sign's for." And then the conversation starts. So what I think is most important right now is I would not look at this as that this site needs to have every answer for every supplier based on how each supplier does their work, certainly in terms of custom. Because as we know, that's unique to everybody. We haven't gotten there yet. We will add features in, and that's going to be a process. We knew that was, that's a piece of it. It's a big part of what the MSA does. But this couldn't be all things to all people coming out of the gate. It's going to keep getting better, and we're going to add more custom. But for now, what I'm going to recommend is that for discoverability, that's how you go about it.
Okay. And now I have my third question, and then we have another question.
Okay.
So my question is, for museums that want to sell to the trade, and they might not be museums that have an enormous wholesale availability to sell, but sort of the way MSA used to have the trade.
Sure, of course.
Is there going to be a platform built towards that?
So there was a good conversation about this. So there's some policy. This is going to probably be introduced in January. But basically, there are many of our members who also wholesale. But there'll be a few requirements that's going to be put on that. It's going to have to be a product that's unique to them. The marketplace is not intended to be a resale, a place for museums to sell product that didn't sell. Because I mean, and again, I'm not setting policy here. I work for Brandwise. I know MSA well, but the MSA board has discussed this. It's not going to be, we're not going to want to find the same product on, 5 different people offering it, at competing prices. That's not what we're looking for. However, museums that make unique product, absolutely wholesale. New York Historical Society, Newport, Ava, UDO, a number of others. That will be introduced as a possibility. That'll probably be at the beginning of the year. And there'll be some other kind of, rules around it, but that is also on the roadmap. Those museums would be set up basically as a buyer and a vendor. But we want to put those policies in place very clearly and fairly so that the vendors know that they're not going to be selling a product which is then going to pop up. So that's going to come with a communication kind of blanket wrapped around it, and that's when we'll be doing it. But we're looking at that for the beginning of the year.
Okay, great, thank you. From Diane from Italianissimo. When
Yes.
can we, a vendor, see a more complete product listing with longer product description, etc., instead of only image with the very minimum info?
Yeah.
When to get more info about uploading brand profile?
Sure.
Minimum.
So Transit is being built out now. That might be in time for the launch, it might not. Just a couple of things. This is a pioneer program, which is one of the reasons why the MSA has gotten kind of an extraordinary deal on it, which was really important considering the challenges MSA is facing. We're putting this out there as a fully functioning site, and more features will be added as we go. So those, the longer brand descriptions, the pop out, multiple images, all of these things are on the roadmap. So in Italian, I would say abbia pazienza, which would be patient. In that we're getting this out there and we're getting it up there. When I've shown it to retailers, what I can tell you is that when I've shown this to MSA members, they only ask one question: when can I start placing orders? So what my recommendation is going to be is get your product up. The brand description should go a long way. If you're making scarves and you have a lot of different scarves, chances are that your brand story up at the top can cover part of it. Know that all the features that you're talking about that you find on any sites, eventually you're going to get there, and probably pretty quickly as we go, because they're all being worked on. Brandwise iterates every single product that they do, every platform, every 3 weeks. So that gets a lot of changes happening. You know, even this one that we're looking at here that I showed you was the very first version. That's already being surpassed, I believe, in a couple of days when the next one comes out, which is going to have scroll bars and more dynamic pieces. So it's going to be exciting as the new features come out. The beauty of how the system works is that the vendors are able to upload all of their data from one CSV file, basically from one or TXT file. Let's call it a spreadsheet, which means that as these new pieces are done, they can load them all in at once. So that'll be an advantage. But those are it is all coming, and I guess I'll say stay tuned for that.
Will the site have the vendor's contact info available so the museum? Okay.
Yeah. So in that top area that was next to the New York Puzzle Company, that big white rectangle, all of that, this isn't a site where we, this is actually quite interesting. This is not a site where we're limiting contact information. We're actually sharing it, meaning as an MSA vendor, access to retailer data, who's the buyer, what's their contact information, has always been something that's been almost always immediately out of date, right? A directory is published, a week later, someone's information changes and it's not there anymore. The beauty of how this system works is that the buyers and the vendors are all maintaining their own contact information themselves, and any changes that they make are live. So as a vendor, the information that comes through is always going to be live all the time. And that's going to be a beauty of it. And another piece, which is the add-on piece, which is play. Another part of this contract is that this agreement is that every single vendor is going to have an application that they can put on an iPad. Now this has extraordinary, this is the cornerstone flagship product of Brandwise, which is the handheld piece that the reps use. That is going to have in it an incredible number of additional tools, and every single member of the MSA with their live contact information. So a vendor would be able to, if they saw that a museum had a show coming up, would be able to put together a tear sheet. I'm going to put together all my Monet products, generate a PDF, shoot it off to that buyer, and get an order started. So that's going to be with Play. That's going to be the Play licenses. That's going to come after we launch this. But that's an opportunity where there are even richer and more opportunities, because that product is one that's been developed and tweaked and built on and iterated for 23 years. So it wasn't 23 years on an iPad. It was on PC. It was on a Palm Pilot. It was on all kinds of things. But now it's iPad is really where there's a huge. It's a wonderful product. So that's also baked in, that the MSA vendors get that at no upfront cost, and they're able to use that tool when they want, whether it's in person or not. That's also part of this. So that's pretty exciting.
Okay, another question and then a buyer question.
Sure.
From the vendor. Can we add monthly specials?
So you'll be able to add and change anything you want on your data whenever you want. You load in a new file with new information, you'll be able to do that. And that now we're getting a little further in features, but basically if you put up a new product, so you put up a new product, you put up a new description, you put up that it has a special, you load that in, you load your new data file in. That's what populates the system. You then can do your own outreach with a link that takes them back to that product and to you. So the tools and the different things that can happen from it are exciting. Eventually, this will be equipped also with discount codes so that you can offer an actual code and leave it in that way. That exists in play, and a lot of these features are coming over to Reach. I never understood what it took to do this kind of work until I walked into Brandwise, and there are 40 developers, and it looks like I'm at the NSA. You know, they've got 6 screens. You have to be quiet. It's dark. They feed them carefully. You know, it really was quite extra. I thought, like, I don't know what, 10 people work there, but I walked in and it was this. I said, "Who do these people work for?" They said, "Oh, this is the whole development team." So anyway, more of that is coming, but for now, you'd be able to change your prices whenever you wanted to.
And from the buyer's end.
Yes.
So have I understood correctly that in order to facilitate this from my museum, you have to be an MSA member?
That is a policy determined by the MSA. Their policy is you have to be an MSA member in order to be able to access it. And so, yeah, that's the starting point.
Okay. So does that mean that all of us are automatically registered for this? So am I, without me doing anything, am I already, like, am I able to go on this site? And
Sure. Well, here's what's going to happen. On November 10th, we will roll out what we call the Passport program to the retailers, where you will create an account. You'll create not only your personal profile, but then parallel to that, you'll create your company profile, which you'll then link to. The reason why it has this process is so that the company itself is an entity, kind of like on LinkedIn, right? You are a person, you're linked to a company, and it's all permission-based. So you as a person, as an individual, will create what's called your passport. You'll then create a company profile which you're connected to. That company profile is going to be connected to the MSA through a permission, and that's where your membership, active, not active, says, okay, we are connected to this company. We're probably going to pre-populate all the companies so they have to be created. Just some of the data might need to be corrected by you. But then at that point, you're connected and you're ready to go. And anyone, if you have multiple people in your company, any one of them with their individual passport connects to the company passport, then they have access as well.
so Lawrence is saying he's already on Brandwise.
Great.
Can he use
He'll
the
use
MSA
his
passport?
same, absolutely. So Lawrence, the way you connected to an agency probably so that you could shop, did you do that connection process where you said, I want to connect to you? Okay, that's exactly the same way that it works. So Lawrence shops between one or multiple Brandwise agencies, and he'll just be able to, it's kind of like, you know, when you get to something that says, would you like to sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google? You'll be using the same passport to access any Brandwise marketplace, which includes agencies you might work with and the MSA marketplace.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. So do you want to just continue with what you're
Sure. Yeah, I want to show real quick. I'll share my screen again. I'm going to share this one. This is just so that you can all get an idea of it. This is a guide. So once a contract has been signed with a vendor, that they sign the contract with Brandwise, they're sent login credentials as well as this guide. And this guide has in it a quick start that explains how the different pieces work. It's got links in order for them to watch more videos, learn more information. It gives them the walkthrough process with the passport, and the buyers will get something like this. It looks complicated. It's not. We just wanted to show every single detail and every single question, because while it's not overly complicated, it is new, and new is, you know, something that you know, needs we need to answer as many questions as we can. So now they're connected. This is how they're going to upload their images. This is how they're going to put in their lifestyle image, and then this is support center. Then we include a bit of basic information about how this works, how the partnership works. We have a glossary of terms, which explains all the different pieces in even more detail than I have here. And then we get to some additional steps that they should do. And then we have the frequently asked questions. The frequently asked questions, we already had a lot of frequently asked questions. So we put up all the frequently asked questions, and we will keep adding the frequently asked questions. and then there's some useful information. So that's basically the guide that they get. The support center at Brandwise has 10 people. They're active, I think, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time every day. So it's, and the vendors and everyone else will be given, you can text them, you can email them, you can call them, you can go online and open up a ticket. So that's what they get. Just wanted to give you a look at that. Lawrence, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is it now that you have it set up for you to use your passport? Is it easy or hard?
It's pretty easy. I have to say the first couple of times I went to vendors or more sales groups, it was like, oh, they've already got my information. This makes it so much easier. Click and I'm there. I can shop all their catalog.
Excellent. I did not know Lawrence was going to give that answer, just so you know. I was hoping, but I didn't. He's not a shill. And so it really is quite.
You didn't pay him for that?
I didn't pay him for that. It really is, once you have that information in there and you have it set up, that means that your billing information, your shipping information, eventually also your credit card information. Brandwise is completely PCI compliant from beginning to end for the suppliers. It's all now tokenized, so it's very secure. That being said, you can keep paying your suppliers the way you have been. Brandwise is not making any rules. You can pay by check, you can pay net 30. That's all there. Brandwise isn't making policy. We're doing everything we can to help all of you do what you've already been doing. And to try to emulate it in exactly the same way as possible. Have patience, because everything coming out of the box isn't going to be exactly that way. If you work in a specific way with a vendor, that's a unique, right? That's a pretty tight Venn diagram. So we're going to keep adding features. But it'll, for all the suppliers out there, I greatly encourage you to join something called Brandwise Insiders, which is a Facebook page where there's lots of information. You can periodically see roundtables led by me. But suppliers, here's a really interesting one that we just did. If you join Brandwise Insiders, you scroll back a bit, we just released, and actually everybody can find this. If you go to Gift and Deck, the magazine, find a recent article about Brandwise and data. There's a link at the bottom where we've shared 25 months of aggregated sales data broken out by every state in the country. So Brandwise ecosystem handles about $2.5 billion of orders a year. So that data that we released shows, Ohio in August of 2019 did $6,847 or whatever it is. So that, but you can see, so you can track, you can see how your state's doing, how your area's doing. So I think it's kind of interesting for anybody. So anyway, go to Gift and Deck magazine, look for an article that came out 2 days ago about Brandwise and data. But so anyway, there's Brandwise is a big world, and I'm super excited to have MSA as part of it. Any other questions? Hey, Chacha. I answered all the questions?
Jackie, you're mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay, so any other questions for Ari? All right, well, Ari, thank you. You're a total pleasure, incredibly informative, and we appreciate your time.
I'm happy to be here. You all have a way to reach me. My name's always, if you want to ask me a question, alowenstein@brandwise.com. Don't ask me the technical questions, because the truth is I don't know the answers, but the support center does, because that's what they're paid for. That's why they're experts on it. But if you have any problems and you don't get satisfaction, certainly you can reach out to me. There's a woman named Megan Fisker who's the account lead for the MSA. Circle on your calendar November 10th, because that's going to be a day we're going to be announcing when you'll be getting communication on how to set up your passport. We'll also have a live webinar to do that as well. Our site can only host 501 buyers at a time, so hopefully we'll I'd say let's get all of them, but if we get 600 we're going to have to do 2. But Lawrence isn't going to need it because Lawrence already has a passport. But yeah, we're super excited. I'm personally very proud to be part of this, and just seeing the product flowing in there. I was talking with one of the buyers the other day, one of the former board members, and I said, people could shop it right now. She said, can you just let me in? I want to shop now. You just don't tell anybody. It's no, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I can't do that. But it is very exciting to see that we initially populated it with about 20 just to show what it would look like. And I'd been concerned that I said, well, what if those are the only ones and they don't sign up? Well, we're at, actually, while this was coming up, I saw we're at 64 now that have signed the contract. 137 or 8 that have signed the contract, 64 that have started the process. There's an email going out today that those stats are in there. And I can tell you from my experience, when there was a certain time a few years ago when we had some management issues, and Paul Stewart, Stan, and I jumped in to basically run the show. And we were selling the booths. And I sent out an email that said something like, there's only 50 booths left to the vendors. The next day, there were only 15 booths left because there was this moment where they said, oh my God, I'm not going to have a booth. So this email is going to go out. It's going to show there's already 12,000 SKUs up there in terms of data. Over 6,000 of them have images. 64 companies are loading their data. Around 140 have signed their contracts. Any suppliers out there, if you have not signed your contract, please do so. If you haven't got the contract, it's probably because MSA hasn't flagged you as an active member, so you should reach out to them. But and especially if any of you are already in or have been in the Brandwise ecosystem, it's gotten simpler. We have a single sign-on. We have great tools out there. Let's get your product up there for November 10th. If you load it November 11th, of course, it's going to be fine, but we'd like to get you in there for the launch. So thank you, everybody, for your time, and I'm super excited. I'm not sure which I'm more excited about, November 3rd or November 10th. That's a toss-up.
Thanks, Ari.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Ari. This is almost unheard of that we're actually done with our meeting early for today, but I wanted to mention a few things. First of all, I want to thank those from the national board that are here, Susan Tudor, Chacho Herman from San Diego, and if I've missed somebody, I apologize. Of course, Elizabeth, our executive director, and just our entire chapter. This has been a really tough year for everybody in the country. So thank you for supporting MSA, both vendors and museums. We need everybody to work together, and I hope that this was valuable for everyone. I know that Monday's meeting, first of all, over the weekend, we've asked that everybody visit a museum in your area. Number one, it's in support of your museums. It's support of our museums, I should say. It's support of our museum shops. And we've also mentioned that if you have a mask that you have produced or created from your museum, wear it when you go out. And you know, that's a little bit of conversation for your own museum when you've done something like that. And on Monday, when we introduce everybody, we're going to ask for one little fact that you've brought back from your museum visit. If you didn't or weren't able to go to a museum, we're going to ask you something anyway, maybe about your museum. So please join us on Monday. We have a speaker, Larry Becker, who's going to be speaking about online stores. And I think, again, it's another topic that is really relevant and poignant for right now. So please come back on Monday at noon, and also for our business meeting that will be following. So does anybody have any questions or comments for today before we close?
Thank you, Ava.
You're welcome, Jackie.
Thanks, Ava. That's noon Eastern time, by the way.
Oh, yes, correct. Right. Anyone?
See you Monday.
See you Monday. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Anybody leaving? Not really. They're hanging in there. Look, nobody wants to go. That's exciting. But if anybody wants to say anything, because we're still on, you can unmute yourself and say something.
It went really, really well.
Nice job.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Diane. Hi, Janet.
Hi.
Is Martin still on? Hi, Martin.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, Ava. It's Lisa from the Comer.
Hi, Lisa.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It was a great meeting. Thank you. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative to everybody who participated. We needed that, and it's not easy when we've all been so isolated. So really appreciate everybody that's here. Hi, Diane Birmingham.
Hi, thank you.
Especially
so
nice
much.
to see you.
It was great to see everyone, and this was so welcoming and so important. It was innovative, fabulous, and wow, what a team everyone is. It's just amazing.
And you have like a little thing going on right now in.
Oh my goodness. At the Dali Museum, we're smack in the middle of the Grand Prix track, and you can hear, well, no, you probably can't hear, but the cars are buzzing around. I live nearby. And so we're closed for 10 days, and it's horrible after our 4-month closure, now this, but hey, it's the way it is. And so we'll get back, we'll be open again on the 28th of October. So we're working remotely, obviously.
It was nice to see you.
You too. I just enjoyed this so much. We've been a bit lame with our participation in MSA, although one of our colleagues had attended the Cayman Island meeting. But we've just had lots of changes. As everyone, lots of staff have left, not their choice. And so we're, having a tough year like everyone, but we're going to get through it all. We're really positive.
Who else from, hi, Mauro. Hi, Diane.
Hi. We missed you guys.
How are you? We missed you.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
I don't want to show my underwear, but
Shoot, I forgot to ask everybody to take that selfie. Yes, we normally take a picture, a group photo from our chapter meeting, and I meant to tell everybody to take a selfie so we can see what you really look like, what you're wearing to this chapter meeting.
I don't think you want to see
from the
that.
waist down. Diane Birmingham, I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Who from your museum was on the call today?
Oh, our store manager, Betsy Rosado, and our new assistant store manager, Ty Butler. And,
okay, I was wondering who Ty was. I wasn't quite sure.
Yes.
So thank you for having them join us. That's perfect.
I told them how important this was, and it was just so informative. They will be very appreciative of this. Thank you. And of course, we had Lawrence until he took off, but we're close
He's
friends.
Down the street.
I know he is, and I can't wait till that museum opens. The craft museum is going to be fabulous. Largest collection of American craft in the country, and Lawrence is at the helm. So good for him.
Arts and crafts. Arts and crafts movement.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be fabulous. So he's excited, but he doesn't have an open date yet. We just spoke the other day. I'm sure you did too. So.
Yeah, I do.
Let's hope that after November 3rd, we will be swamped. Everybody will be swamped.
Yes.
Let's hope.
I think so.
Lisa, how are things going up there? Unmute, and can you unmute, Lisa?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yes. We've been very good. It's good to see everybody again. I missed the last meeting last year. So yeah, this is good. Actually, we've been very busy. We're getting ready to open a new show, Cross Pollination. So I'm in the office just surrounded by all this new products, and a lot from museums. Productions just came in today. So we're getting ready for that, and we've got a big sale going on right now with a lot of products from our past exhibits. So that's going well.
Good.
Kind of clear some of that out, and have Susan have the open to buy power, and just free up some cash.
Nice.
So, and then we're getting ready for Museum Store Sunday, and of course on our champagne and shopping. So
wow, I'm not sure how many of you went onto the onto Shop Talk this morning, but they announced the Museum Store Sunday online shop participation, and that looked fantastic. The way they've done that on the, if you haven't gone on the Museum Store Sunday site, and if you haven't put yourself on, if you've got an online shop and you haven't added yourself to that list, do it. It was really well done. Really well done.
That's on my list for today, actually,
Yeah.
because it dawned on me that our adjusted schedule, we are not open on Sundays right now.
Right. We are not either. However, our first day to open on Sundays is museum.
Ah. Yeah, we will, right now we're Monday through Friday. And in November, we will become Monday through Saturday. And probably by January, we'll go back to 7 days a week. And depending on what the upcoming election results are, because one of the things that the city of Key West is voting on is limiting the size and numbers of cruise ships. So we'll see what happens with that and how that might affect business, because what they're pushing for is the smaller European style ships that tend to bring a higher end crowd. So
yeah, it's very difficult. Even in Italy, we have our I mean, everything is so messed up. In Italy, they're talking about another lockdown. Venice is totally dead.
Right.
And let's hope that I don't see anything until next spring. But
We have to hope for the best, but it's tough. It's tough.
Definitely.
It is.
Yeah, not only for you guys, but think about our supplier. They live not just with us. I mean, they live with the tourism over there, and there is nobody.
Yeah.
Murano, Venice are totally dead.
I think this is the first time that, I mean, natural disasters happen, but this is the first time in my lifetime that this has been worldwide.
Yeah, and it lasts that long. I mean, it's not like something that like 9/11. I mean, it's like this is.
I think I was extra curious about this because my great-grandfather passed in the Spanish flu epidemic. And what I did not realize until recently is during that time, in urban areas especially, the mandatory mask rule was in effect for 2.5 years. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea. So
yeah,
amazing.
That's the easy part. That's the easy part. The rest of it is the challenge. We're learning.
We definitely are. Well, we've lost Ava.
Oh. Hi, Lisa.
And Scott has the
good to see
there.
you.
I have the control.
Well, send my best to Susan. Hey, hi, how are you doing? How's Mount Dora?
Mount Dora. Oh.
Uh-oh.
We had a fantastic Saturday. It reminded me of old times, of course, followed by Sunday, which wasn't so hot. We are closed Mondays and Tuesdays. Typically, in the past prior to COVID, we were open 7 days a week. Now we're open 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday. The museum is still not open. We opened the shop back up in third week of May. And we just started last Friday to extend our late hours. So Friday and Saturday night, we're now open till 9 p.m. our craft festival, which is the fall festival, would have been this weekend. That pulls up to around 250,000 people, and that was canceled due to COVID. So, you know, we're not going to be making the revenue that we did last year at this time, but we're hanging in there. And I'm going to decorate for the holidays next week, so we'll see what happens. Yeah.
I surely miss those of trunk show. I'll tell you.
Yeah, those
I have
fun.
Yes.
I have
Most of you guys all know that we miss those days.
Those trunk show.
Diane, it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. So a lot of changes, and it's interesting to see, you know, people adapting and moving to an online marketplace. That's essential at this time. It's good to see the MSA is jumping on board, and looks like it's in really good hands. So that's encouraging.
Well, and with Dean, thank you very much for being here. And
yeah, now tell me what's going on Monday.
Monday,
Shelley's going to be able to join me on Monday.
All right, Monday is a continuation of today's conference. We felt like it was in everyone's best interest to split it up, just so we don't all, like, you know, I'm going to have to go in a little bit. I really need to pee, you know.
Well, and my employees are waiting for their checks. This is payday Friday. I jumped out and got them a load of sandwiches, and now I've got to go distribute paychecks.
So yeah, splitting it up.
Take one.
Friday and Monday gives everyone a little bit of a break, and the idea of being able to visit a local museum as part of our homework over the weekend was brilliant, because if we were being hosted by someone, that would be part of. I remember all of the wonderful places that you took us in St. Augustine, Dean. And,
I was thinking about that as I was driving down into town a half hour ago. This is fine for now, but let's get back to normal. I want to come down and enjoy Florida.
Exactly. So, you know, and maybe I know for me, there are a couple of museums here that are perking up their ears, wanting to join MSA, and maybe me visiting them will push them over the edge to actually join. Everybody's watching their budgets right now. I totally understand that. And I think on Monday we'll have a bit more of a chance to socialize with each other after it's all said and done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of a running theme with amongst those of us that are buyers, that we're being a little bit micromanaged at the moment. Everybody is worried about where the money is coming from. And oddly enough, not just me, but I've heard from several other buyers about how we are being micromanaged by our respective institutions. And I mean, literally have to get approval for a paperclip, so to speak. So
yeah. Well, you know, some of your associate museums are actively seeking out their sponsors and their donors and the philanthropists of the past.
Right.
Channel Craft came up with a museum support program a couple months ago that's gone over really well. I'd like to share that with some folks on Monday. And when you're talking about finances, I don't know how you're dealing with the chapter finances, but I'd be glad to kick into the chapter dues if I could make a 5-minute presentation and give all of the Florida associates a chance to do this museum support program before Christmas, because it's all holiday oriented with year-end tax deductible gifts from, you know, half a dozen of your local favorite guests.
Sure. Would you mind reaching out to Ava, because she has the schedule all set up?
Yeah, I sure will.
And we've lost her on this particular call, but
yeah, I'll give her a buzz as soon as I get our payroll distributed. I'm
Yes.
going to have to hop because I got some crew that are chomping at the bit. They've already eaten their sandwiches and now they want their paychecks.
Totally
And then
understand that.
you look in pain, so. You better go.
We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody. Be
Everybody,
well.
bye-bye. Stay
Good
well.
luck. So great
well.
seeing everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hope to see you on Monday.
I have to miss Monday because I have 2 other Zoom meetings, but I'll stay in touch regardless.
Diane, will anyone else be available from the Dolly?
I hope they can make the same timeline. So
Wonderful.
we'll do our best. I'll be in touch with them right now.
Okay, great.
Thank you all. Take good care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.
See you Monday.
Janet, bye.
Oh, but I won't be able to make it Monday.
Okay, we won't see you.
Great to join you guys today.
Bye.